All right, ladies and gents, how are we feeling about this? Are we ready to do some hunting this weekend? Well, you've come to the right place. We're going to check out some of the cool errors, varieties, key dates, things like that have sold here on eBay within the last 24 to 48 hours. In a video that we call the Pocket Change Market Report, you might have heard about it once or twice in the past from yours truly. We're going to be covering things, November 9th. We're very much into holidays. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Generally, we see a fair amount of activity, a lot of trading, a lot of selling, a lot of buying going on during this time of year. A lot of the regular casual folks that are in the hobby to collect and or buy, sell, trade, we're all in it right now. It represents probably the best time of the year for one big reason, and that, well, the holidays are here. The holidays, unfortunately, I have to say, it costs some serious money, especially these days with inflation and all that great stuff. Um, but as we know, a lot of folks, they take the time to sit down and roll up all the coins in their piggy bank that they've saved up all throughout the year, maybe 2 years, 3 years. And these folks, they go and deposit, these rolls at the bank. So it really represents kind of a refreshing of, what is available out there in the wild. Coins that traditionally, have been socked away for a year or longer, have now come back specifically for this time of year. So a lot more of those original rolls are out there from these folks that have saved. And, oftentimes 99.9% of the people, they don't think about what can come out of their change, And for those of us that have some idea of what we want to look for, this is again kind of like a very no-brainer time of year to do what we do. So if you're looking to add a piece to your collection, or if you're looking to, use this as a secondary source of income, then that's good. This is the time of year to do it. So we're going to be exploring some of these finds, people that have sold these, of course, online with great success. So that way you guys are made aware of what's selling right now, what's trending, things of that nature. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of coins, by the way. I sell on the platform Whatnot. This is a quick little notification, calendar of events of sorts. The holidays are here. Whatnot is a huge component to that. They're big on the holidays. And they're looking for more new people to join the platform. Okay, one of the easiest things to do is to join up as a new buyer of anything. That is sold on this platform, from coins, currency, precious metals, sports cards, comic books, vintage video games, you name it. There's not a whole lot that the platform does not cover when it comes to collectibles. So we have shows. If you want to take advantage and check out some of our future shows, including the now announced Blue Ridge Silverhound giveaway event that we do annually, it's all going to take place on Whatnot. And we have the show bookmarked for you guys, ready to go, first week of December. And you do have to join on, all right, to take advantage of that. We're going to be doing nothing but giveaways that first week of December. So we have our normal scheduled Friday shows that begin at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We just wrapped up a really great show. A lot of good stuff did sell. We had more new people join in on the mix. We are family on this platform. You have questions, normally we address them right then and there. Buying is not necessary, but you being there to be part of the experience is. We're all collectors at some capacity at heart. We're all family, and we would love to have you here. I have a referral link down below in the description box. It'll also be pinned in comments as well. If you sign up today with Blue Ridge Silverhound, I will give you $15 off your first item. Very cool. And they are looking for new sellers as well. And Whatnot has a promotion of the ages. It's a limited time only event, probably just during the holidays. But if you sign up today as a new seller, Whatnot will match up to your first $150 in sales. So it's going to be like selling $300 in items because they're going to match dollar for dollar your first $150 through the first 7 days of you being on the platform as a dedicated seller. So I will also have my seller link down below in the description box. Sign up today. It's a great addition to your e-commerce solution aside from eBay and all that great stuff. And there's no better time to do it than today. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. These are some pretty nice selections. We got a couple of Cud die breaks to kick things off here. Here's the 1983 Philly Jefferson nickel. Note that the coin is in pretty rough shape. This thing has been around the block, I would say, more than a few times. But when we look at the top of Jefferson's head, we see this raised anomaly right there. That's actually the die break in question. Um, as you guys are aware, just like an automobile, the mid presses they undergo just wear and tear like an automobile, and because of that, things break down, things get loose. The dies certainly one of those things that are subjected to lots of immense pressure and load. They'll fracture, they'll crack. Pieces of the die will break off, and then when they strike up coins, it'll look like things like this. This is where there's an empty cavity on the die because a piece had fallen out. So they affectionately refer this as to a cud, or simply a die break of sorts. So this one right here, great sale by the way. I've seen a number of this very same cud in various degrees of condition. This one right here, kind of an overachiever, but I think that's more of like the time of year and why this one sold for $54.58. So you're going to note that every single piece we're talking about here today, ungraded. Keep the money in your pocket. When it comes to mint errors and die varieties, these things sell for themselves. There's really no justification for paying these grading services all this money, where it's not going to guarantee more return on your investment. All right, the coins will sell for full market value whether you grade it or not. All right, so we have another cut die break here, a little bit smaller one on 1989 Lincoln Memorial Cent. If you look there on the word trust on the obverse of the coin, you do see a die break that obscures a good fair amount of that word right there. Again, same thing happened and occurred. Kind of wild that it is in the same spot, kind of like the 1 o'clock position as that nickel we just looked at. Now, when it comes to cud and their sell prices, everything is all about the size of them. The bigger the size of the cud, the more money they're worth. This one ended up selling for less than half at $24.58 of the Jefferson nickel that we looked at. But if you compare the two sizes of cuds here, you could understand why. Pretty neat one here. I guess we could call this one a dual error. It's a 1974 D Roosevelt dime. This one has a small indent right there on TY on Liberty on the obverse. So there is another planchet that was overlapping this one during the striking process. But through all of this, this is something that, maybe someone would miss as well. This one also has a partial tilted collar. This is a great secondary view of the edge. You can see a partially struck reeded area of the dime as normal, but you also see this raised lip, this kind of like railroad feature that you see there on the edge of the coin. The collar that keeps the coin in place during the strike was slightly tilted. All right, so it was kind of like impeding, kind of digging into the edge of that coin, not necessarily striking up the whole entire edge, but it's doing its thing, as you can see here. Great use of arrows by the seller, by the way. It's just a really good job here. This one sold for $22.60. Again, the devil is in the details. If you're able to get these nice close-up shots to complement a full front and back picture of the piece you're selling, this is exactly what you need to ensure a rapid sale. So make sure you're taking as many pictures as you can without going too crazy. The stuff that tells the story about what you're selling. And another thing that I've seen a lot more activity on are laminations. These used to be the redheaded stepchild of the error world. It's like these things were all over the place. 10, 15 years ago, you were lucky to be able to get 50 cents to a dollar for any one of these that you find. But we're in a different stage of the game right now where a lot of the coins on the higher end are just way too expensive. That includes mint errors. So there are folks that want to enter the arena of collecting some sort of type of coin. When it comes to mint errors, that really limits the amount of choices that you have. You could do clips like rim clips. You could do slightly off-centered coins. Laminations seems to be one of those error types where there's a lot more potential because they go back, such a long ways back. And you could really collect all the way down to, coins from the 19th century if you wanted to. And at one point, they were quite affordable. They've since kind of crept up due to demand across the board. This one right here, the lamination on this 1916 Lincoln cent, you can see the flakiness on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, all due to impurities in the alloy mix. That's how it originally started, and some annealing issues as well. We usually see these on Lincoln cents, Jefferson nickels, and Buffalo nickels, but you could find them even on silver coinage as well. $16.60. We've come a long way. These things are selling for more money, and depending on how dramatic the lamination is, will dictate how much money you will end up making in the long run. We also have this one here, not the best of photographs, but this is a another massive cud die break, the biggest one so far in this video, that exists out there, specifically on Washington nickels, and it obscures the date most of all. First and foremost, this one has an actual discernible mint mark. It's a Philadelphia struck coin of some sort, so we could make the assumption that this one is a 1980 dated coin or later. This one right here, that cud on a very weak spot of the die, where it's prone to cracking and self-destruction quite a bit in that area where the date is. Yeah, nice big cut. We just don't know what the date is. So you can see on the reverse side of things the corresponding weakness. Normally with a large cut like this, you'll have a weakened area on that same spot on the reverse of the coin. Um, these are highly equitable today, and apparently they're very common. So if you're a Washington quarter hunter, especially on the East Coast, this is one that is a huge reality in your searches. This one ended up selling for $109.46. That's a nice chunk of cash for something like this. And again, the cool part about looking through like bankrolls and things like that is that you're paying one for one. You're not paying more to obtain, a $10 roll of quarters at a bank. You're playing with house money essentially. You'll go through it. If you see anything you like that you could sell, any sort of mint error or variety, you could roll up the rest of the coin, set it on back down to the bank, and then start and repeat the process over, and you just keep going. Um, of course, it's easier to have more rolls on hand rather than just doing one. But anytime that you could play around a little bit, whether it's a roll or two or a whole box of them, that's really going to make the difference. Because if you don't look at any, you'll probably never find them. We also have this one here for all you candy half roll hunters. This is one that's been around for quite a while. A great variety, worth more than a 90% silver half of just a generic half dollar. 1974D candy half dollar. This is the infamous doubled die obverse, also known as the FS 101 Cherry Picker's Guide variety. This coin, as you could tell, very well circulated. It's really nothing to write home to mother about in terms of condition, but be on the lookout for this wild doubling. In the motto, "In God We Trust," the words "we" and "trust" will have this crazy, insane doubling that's all knotted up like you see here. This one right here sold for $15.50 because they are relatively common. They do sell on average between $10 and $30. Nicer examples will can't command more money. I've seen them go for as high as $50, $60. But that's how common these are. There's a lot of them out there. Even I've found a few of these myself. Here's a nice $2 bill, our first piece of currency on the list. It's a 1976 $2 bill, as you can see. Very nice, crispy example. The seller had mentioned that this one is a misaligned print and a miscut. So it's a little bit misaligned, nothing too crazy. If you see the green seal there above the word two, it is shifted a little bit up and to the left a little. Nothing dramatic here. When we look at the reverse, you have a much fatter right margin on there. Again, this is something that is, very easy to miss if you're, just a casual observer of such items that come in at a change. The price tag is really insane on this one. A collector must really wanted this one because they ended up paying $124.95. While the miscutting and the misalignment are all on the minor side, you do have two occurrences of different paper money errors on the same note. And that's probably why I drove it up to that price level. Another thing that's gaining in popularity are these improper alloy mix Lincoln cents. Okay, these are affectionately referred to as woody or wood grainers. We have a 1919 nice date here, a very nice higher end example too, probably like an XF plus type of coin. You have great details all around, but check out the wood graining on this. This is a byproduct of just a poor mixture of the little bit of tin or zinc that they add to the copper during the mix, right before they create the strips that are flattened to the desired thickness. So this is again that byproduct, just a poor mix of that little bit of tin or zinc with the copper created this bad boy here. These again, much like laminations, gaining all sorts of traction on the market. People love these artistically. They collect them by date, so that's kind of part of the allure of this. This particular example ended up selling for $35.95 as a buy it now. It's a very attractive coin. We also have a much tougher, man, this thing is a tough date, 1918S, also a wood grainer, but it's a coin with issues. I was like, based off of what it's sold for, which is $19.95, I'm like, well, that's kind of a cheap price for a much tougher date. But I began to look closer at it, and it does have damage on there. If you look in front of Lincoln's face where his eyes are, you can see that there is a dig in that field area there. You see some scratches on the reverse, at the bottom there where that wheat stalk is, right by the word unum, and a few other areas as well. So it's far from the perfect coin, but hey, almost 20 bucks for this one, for a coin that you could, buy at a coin shop for 50 cents to a dollar. Sign me up. And that's what you need to do. That's kind of how you play the game here, is finding coins that are drastically underpriced that has a much better secondary market. And this is a classic case of that. Pretty neat one here. We don't cover this that often, but we have a BU roll of 1955 Franklin half dollars. How neat is this? It's a common date, for a BU roll. 1955, they kind of like grow on trees. I know there are lower mintage for like Roosevelt dimes and things like that, but there are more BU rolls of 1955 coinage, bar none, compared to any other 1950s date. And a lot of that has to do with the expected rarity of these. At the time they were released, people knew that the 1955 dimes and quarters were a lot more scarce, so they saved them in BU condition. So there are more of these out there in much nicer shape than there are pretty well circulated. But getting back into this roll right here, we have some really nice flashy coins. The seller had mentioned that they had found count them, eight FS401 Bugs Bunny varieties. These are die clashes that gives the appearance of our good old boy Ben Franklin to have fangs. Now this is a not so good close up, but you could see the little spike coming out of the top lip there. Almost looks like Dracula fangs. That's our Bugs Bunny variety. That's actually a die clash of the small heraldic eagle on the reverse of the coin. Okay, and that it makes a pretty big difference. It's all about placement, and there are a number of dates where you can't find Bugs Bunnies. Some of them more tougher than others. So for the full roll here, we are looking at a price of $570. That's a pretty good price tag there. Looks like there could be maybe a little bit of opportunity to make a few bucks on, but outside of that, I think a collector probably ended up buying this. 55 Bugs Bunnies are the most common Bugs Bunny out there in the collecting world today. Another good one here. This one, at first glance, looked like it sold for a pretty good discount. It's a 1995 Lincoln Memorial Cent with the doubled die obverse FS101 variety. Very strong doubling on Liberty and the motto "In God We Trust." This is one of the key ones from the 90s. They even made headlines in news outlets all around, and it was at a time where the first examples were selling for between $300 and $500. So it was kind of crazy. It was like a mad dash to find as many of these as they could. But after a while, a lot of them were being found, and that eventually kind of cratered the market for these things. It got all the way down to like 10, $15 at the time, to where it was almost not even worth hunting for. But here we are, many years later. It's still very much beloved coin. A lot of them are in much nicer shape, like this one is here. A little bit of circulation where, it's probably a low mid-state grade, probably still full red, but it's not the perfect coin. Here's a couple close-ups of what to look for. Liberty is wildly doubled. It still blows my mind how strong that is. So this particular coin sold for $28.69, which is good. That's a good price point. Nice higher grade examples, raw, tend to go for anywhere from $35 to $50, depending on various factors. Here's our next piece of paper money. We have a 1935D $1 silver certificate. Now, the seller mentioned misaligned print on this one as well. Not too crazy, although it looks like a miscut as well because it's very, very thin there on that right-hand margin. The blue seal right on Washington, D.C. on the right side of the note, slightly off center to the left. When we look at the back, yeah, this is probably your more egregious misalignment is this here. It's probably more of a miscut issue, but the misalignment kind of plays hand in hand here. So it's like you have one without the other. It just wouldn't make any sense. But if you put together both of them, there is some things going on here that really does key into what we have. So this particular note here, nice sale, $80.39 with 10 bids. So it was bid up to that level. Another one here, 1977A $1 bill. Nice, pleasing circulated example. Not really anything to see on the front. I believe all the action is on the back, and sure enough, it is. This is a full 100% wet ink transfer. All right, so we have the front elements, the front design of the note that was ghosted or transferred to the reverse, but it's mirrored. So that's what they call a wet ink transfer. Just it picked up some design inking on the impression cylinder and then transferred it to the next sheet on the already designed back or printed back part of the note. Very desirable. These things are very expensive. When there's one out there that's 100% transferred and nice dark vivid inks like this one here, will command top of the market even ungraded. $239.78 off of 41 total bids on this one, and that is a phenomenal sale. Here's another great lamination piece, 1920 Buffalo Nickel. Like I had mentioned, Buffalo Nickels are a breeding ground for any sort of lamination error. This is another fantastic one here, folks. As you can tell on the reverse, some of the top layers of that coin had flaked away at some point due to the impurities in the alloy mix. This one sold for $28. So it pretty much transforms a coin that maybe you have bought for $1 to $2 into many times that $28, $30. Laminations are trending upwards today. A couple neat Lincoln cents here. Now these are copper-plated zinkins, so you can see the exposed zinc all throughout. This is what we call a saddle strike. So on the blank area of the coin, nothing was struck there. But you had two other strikes that are well off center of the coin. This particular example sold for $31.04 with 10 bids. And then we also have a 1997 version, although this time it's a triple struck error. Um, Later dated, copper plated zinc. Again, you could see that silvered area on certain areas where the plating had split. Pretty cool. We see more saddle strikes than we do triple struck coins. This one is great. It's not for people like me because I don't like the this composition. The zinc does not really hold itself well together, especially when it's in the presence of moisture. That'll usually deteriorate these things. But anyways, this one here is sold for $52.49 with 5 bids. All right, very fair offer. I've seen these go for a lot higher. Really dramatic error here. This is what they call a butterfly fold. So the corner of the sheet had folded and then printed over during the process. 1988 A $5 bill. Here's one side, there's the other, showing the omission of print. So if you did fold that flap down back to where it belonged, during the time when it was cut, you'll see that green ink printed on that flap. This one right here sold for a blisteringly white hot $342 with 26 bids. A lot of people really wanted this one, and it's not every day that you could find these. For $300, $400, $500. They usually go up from there, and if you put them in a graded holder slab, they do enhance in value. As high as maybe 20-30% in certain cases. Another great Buffalo nickel here. Buffalo nickels are a breeding ground for different varieties. Here's the 1930 Buffalo nickel. It's a Philadelphia minted one. This is referred to as the five-leg buffalo. It's the FS 801 variety. This one is more readily available, but they sell for a lot of money in much higher grades. When we look up close here, where the red arrows are, you can see the extra doubled leg right there, which is, that's a discernible hallmark of this particular variety. You can even see a little bit of doubling in 5 cents as well, especially the V right there and the E. So this one here is sold for $17.77. They can be affordable in lower grades, but again, the higher grades, they command a pretty healthy premium for this one. Another great lot here. These are all 1980 Lincoln Memorial cents. They're all off-center struck, and for the most part, most of them, have a full readable date, which is important. They probably came all from the same Fed Reserve bank bag, which is normally where these things travel at. They do escape quite frequently from quality control at the mint, as they're being collated into the bags, because it's an automated kind of system that counts the coins, and they'll still count these as normal. So again, this is an opportunity here. Buy them all, sell them individually, hopefully double or even triple your money. This one had a lot of opportunity because the lot in itself sold for $135.45 off of 17 bids. That is less than $10 per coin. Normally, these would sell for anywhere from $25 to $30. It is a tougher date as well. And here's one, ladies and gents, that you could find on just about any coin, any denomination. If you got these right now, they are hot, hot, hot. And one to be on the lookout for. So strike throughs are a pretty big thing in U.S. mint errors. They could be very common. They could be quite rare. Like this 1972D Canadian half dollar. I've seen these on every denomination of the modern era of coinage. This thing has been struck through not only grease and debris, but if you look there where his forehead is going into Liberty, yeah, we got some patterning here, which only means that there was probably the rag that was used to apply the grease to areas of the movable items parts of the mint presses. Yeah, that's what we have here. Someone left their rag around this area to where it fell into the striking chamber, struck through that, the grease, the debris bits, and Lord knows what else was on there. So, So we have this one here, struck through all of that stuff, and the price tag, boy, really impressive. $276.26 with 21 bits on this one. And again, if you got these in any denomination, man, if you don't need it, sell it because they are worth quite the king's ransom for sure. All right, so the next coin that we have here, we have a few more remaining from the same seller as well. We have this 1965 Washington quarter. This one right here is a detached clamshell lamination, is what I like to call it. It is missing that nickel-clad layer, thereby exposing whatever copper core that you see on that piece there on the left. So the clamshell had split on its edge, and then this one, based off of what I see, looks like it was helped along and then cracked off, thereby having this. Now, there is some morality questions of whether or not the coin is worth more with the piece attached or without. And you know, you can make the argument for either. A lot of purist error collectors, they don't like seeing this type of thing happening. They prefer to have that piece attached with the clamshell showing on the edge. But nonetheless, a healthy sale here for this one at $71.97 with 18 bids. We also have this beautiful early date 1939 Philly Lincoln wheat cent. This one's off center by about, looks like 10-15%. Pretty noticeable, you know. Oftentimes, your best bet of finding anything like this would be at a coin show or a shop where a dealer doesn't pay too much credence to these type of coins. You know, they'll bargain them out price wise, and then you could come in, buy it, and then resell it or add something pretty prominent to your collection. $82.27 with 17 bids. Again, off-center strikes are referred to, you know, collected by date. That seems to be the general consensus of these things. The earlier dates will always command more money, especially when they're problem-free. We also have this beautiful key here, 1922 Lincoln Wheat Cent. It's not a high-end gem, that's for sure. It does showcase a much stronger reverse, which is what collectors like. But this one, ladies and gents, was minted in Denver. It's just not showing the mint mark. They call this the 1922 plain no mint mark variety. This one ended up selling for $541.05 with 46 bids. You're probably going to see that most albums need this coin in a slot. So if you're a completionist by heart, you know, this is kind of like, and I hate to say it, more of the bargain basement types that you'll end up finding out there, and you know it has the price to match, which is unfortunately not a very small one. And then we have another great example of that cud die break right on the date of this quarter. Much better photos, I could say. If you could take your photos outside of a cardboard 2x2, that's always better because those things are replaceable for pennies on the dollar. This one right here, another great circulation find, as you can see. Another fantastic price too at $125. Wowzers. That is cool. It's cool when you could realize a C note or higher for these things. And again, we see them weekly. That's the frequency in which these things are being found in circulation today. And the final coin, man, it's been a minute since we talked about one of the Wilma Mankiller Cud die breaks. This one, we call them retained cuds because on the cud part of it, right above Washington's head, you can still see some of the devices in relief on that raised area. And that's all the seller can manage for a reverse photo, which is just an extra close up of good old Wilma herself. We do know it does not have the reverse die break. Some of them are paired up. The one with the reverse die break is worth a lot more money. But the ones like this with the obverse die break that you see here is still very valuable. Case in point, this one sold for $204.58. All right. Well, that is a heck of a list of coins to look for out there in circulation. Always a pleasure. Again, thank you guys. Information provided in this video is for entertainment purposes only. Don't take this as financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly. And that's it. I'm your host Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I want to thank each and every single one of you for spending time taking a look at some of the coins that you can make money on today. These are up to date, realized prices up to the moment, so you know they're legit. You could always fact check me back on eBay to make sure I'm giving you legitimate, accurate pricing. That's always important. But in all of this, I spent a lot of time helping do this for you so that way you don't have to. But feel free to do so anyways. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my content if you haven't done so already. And thank you guys again. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Happy hunting in all of your coin searching endeavors. And have fun, as do I. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend.